Here is everything Trump did this week. I am a little sick, so my voice might deteriorate faster than Trump's approval rating on immigration during this video, but we're gonna press forward anyway. First up, let's talk about Epstein. So remember, last week, millions of files from the Epstein files were just released to the public. We got email records, pictures. We found out that he got banned on Xbox Live. Like, we now know a lot about this guy, dude. And as people sort through more of the files, we're learning even more about him. Computer scientists have been trying to piece together images that Epstein sent via email, and one of the ones they found was this, which is Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk eating at dinner with Epstein. And this was like 2015 too, okay? This guy was first arrested in 2008, well after he started getting up to shit. There was also some more anonymous tips that were found this week, once again saying that there are children buried under Donald Trump's golf course. What the fuck are we doing, bro? If you're ever golfing at the 19th hole, get a shovel, okay? Because we gotta know. But there was also a ton of information that puts into doubt Epstein's alleged suicide. So just to recap, you guys know that Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell, right? And that they all claimed it was a suicide. Well, if you believe that, there's some suspicious looking files that I'd like you to take a look at. Right here in Epstein file number 00141123, an interviewee claimed that they used boxes and sheets to create a fake body in order to, quote, thwart the media and distract people from where Epstein's body was actually being carried. Now, this doesn't confirm that Epstein wasn't killed, okay? They say that it was to distract from Epstein's real body, implying that, you know, the guy was dead. But first of all, do you really fucking trust that? And second of all, if they're lying to thwart us on where Epstein's body is, then what's to stop them from lying about the fact that there is a body at all? I wasn't able to find any precedent for anything like this happening, okay? The government actively using decoys to try and stop media and the public from seeing what they're doing when it relates to the death of a high-profile inmate, or anyone high-profile for that matter. They're always required to be transparent about this kind of thing. So it's not like this is a business-as-usual strategy. So it doesn't prove that he's alive, but it's still something to take a look at. Second, they found a draft of a press release announcing Epstein's death, but dated a day before he actually died. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, bro? Epstein's body was found on August 10th, okay? August 10th, 2019. You got that? And this press release was dated August 9th, 2019. And it announces that Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell. Except this was written a day before he actually was. Are you seeing the discrepancy here? Are you seeing the fucking issue? And it's not like it was a typo either, because they said Friday as well, which is the day of August 9th. It's not like they just fat-fingered the key. Some people were like, okay, well, it's normal to draft press releases for stuff like that in advance, especially of inmates that might be critical or seem like they're suicidal. And let me tell you, I did a lot of searching, and I could not find any similar example of that happening in U.S. history. In no place does it tell the DOJ or media correspondents to write preemptive death announcements for sensitive inmates. Like, that's a little weird, bro. Third, they found the transcript of the cellmate transfer that Epstein had 2 days before his death. Epstein was mandated to have a cellmate at all times, and 2 days before he died, they transferred his cellmate out. And although we've known that for a while, the transcript of it is completely fucking redacted. Do you see what I'm like laying out for you, bro? These cannot all be coincidences. Pair that with the fact that in 2019, the jail guards that were supposed to be watching Epstein were found responsible for sleeping and browsing the internet when Epstein was killed. Do you really believe that they were just browsing the internet? Like, come on, dude. And in my opinion, the fucking craziest thing that they found this week was that it was an FBI agent who ended up wiping the only tapes showing Epstein's jail cell during the time period where he was killed. This is not an anonymous tip, okay? This is a FBI interview in which the interviewee says that the FBI agent took out the DVR knowing full well that it would wipe all footage of the event. What more do you need, dude? I could sit here and come up with like mundane, boring, plausible explanations for each of these that might make sense if they were all looked at separate, but all together, this shit is just too much, bro. Epstein is either alive or he was killed by someone or something fishy went on. And if Trump's DOJ was trying to hide it, they did a shitty fucking job of doing it, because this is all just public info now. So that was all the stuff about Epstein's death, but there was an even crazier thing about who they're actually redacting in these files. In an email between two FBI employees in March of 2025 during Trump's term, one FBI agent asked the other for guidelines on how to redact former US presidents, Secretary of State, and other celebrities from the files. They were actively discussing how to redact these people. It's right here in the email. All of the files I've talked about here will be linked in the description. I'll try to provide a link to the file that I've downloaded in case the DOJ takes these down like it has been. Like, seriously, the amount of Epstein files available on the DOJ website has been steadily decreasing over the past few weeks because they've just been constantly taking more and more stuff down. But goddamn, dude, like, this is fucking crazy. I'd love to talk about actual policy, but instead I have to talk about the fact that our president is probably a pedophile and is trying to cover things up for his other pedophile friends. Number 2, he seized and investigated Puerto Rican voting machines. Puerto Rico is a US territory, okay? And that means it can't vote in US elections. It can vote in like party primaries and stuff like that, but it doesn't have a say in any actual United States elections, which I think is the reason why no one is making a big deal about this right now. Because if they were able to participate in US elections, this would be fucking crazy, because Trump's director of national intelligence has literally seized the voting machines, like gone to Puerto Rico, picked them up and took them away, and is now investigating them for alleged voter fraud. That's insane, and let me tell you why. The federal government usually does not have any part to play in federal elections. You know, on January 6th, when all those people attacked the Capitol, that's the day the federal government counts electors that are submitted from each individual state. The federal government doesn't go around and manage all the elections going on. They leave the states and counties and local governments to handle that. And it's so that we have a decentralized election process. If the federal government doesn't have a say in how the elections operate, then there's not really any way they can rig it. That's why it was designed this way, to stop the president from interfering or doing some crazy shit. Which is why when the federal government then goes in and takes voting machines from this process, they're officially breaking the decentralized process that we had set up. That's why even though this is just Puerto Rico, setting this precedent is so fucking dangerous. Because if he can do this in Puerto Rico, what's to stop him from going to Arizona and taking their voting machines? He's already gone to Georgia and taken ballots from the 2020 election, which means that all those ballots are now insecure and able to be doctored in whichever way Trump sees fit. Going to Puerto Rico and actively seizing the machines is a step further than even that. And he's doing this as a warm-up before he does it to the actual states. I promise you it's gonna happen, okay? I will be vindicated on this. If you don't believe me or you think Trump wouldn't do that shit, he already is. This investigation is completely unprecedented. They don't have a criminal case actively going. There's no public warrant or indictment. There was no request from Puerto Rico for them to come and get these voting machines. Any defense you have for why this is legal is completely invalid, because it's just fucking not. They're just breaking the law. And the only reason they're getting away with it is because nobody gives a fuck about Puerto Rico, apparently. He's training for it, bro. Watch out. Number 3, he signed a bill ending the partial government shutdown. The Democrats have never ceased to piss me the fuck off. Okay, so on January 22nd of this year, there was this Department of Homeland Security funding package in Congress. The DHS handles the TSA when you're checking your bags at the airport. They handle ICE, the masked Gestapo who's out murdering US citizens, and they handle a bunch of other matters relating to Homeland Security. And Congress needed to decide how much money they were gonna give the DHS, including ICE. Trump wanted to give ICE an additional $10 billion in funding. And the Democrats, being the opposition party, are the ones who are, you know, supposed to oppose that and say, no, we're not gonna vote for that funding bill. Go fuck yourselves. And with more and more Republicans dissenting in the House on ICE, there might be a chance that it actually doesn't pass. So all they need to do is oppose it and everything's gonna be fine. They fucking passed it. 7 Democrats voted with Republicans to give ICE $10 billion more. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Even after Renee Good was murdered just a couple weeks earlier by ICE, even after all of the horrible shit that they're doing on the daily to random people just to beat them up and terrorize our cities, 7 Democrats decided, yeah, we're gonna vote for this spending bill. This is a good use of our power as the fucking legislative branch. This package was passed on January 22nd. Okay, and you want to know what happened a day later? A second person, Alex Pretty, was once again murdered by ICE. Like 2 days after Democrats decided to vote for more funding. Why would you do that shit, bro? Cause a government shutdown. Okay, this is a worthy thing. 46% of US adults want to abolish ICE. If you want to cause a government shutdown, this is what you do it over. This is what's gonna get you the most support. And after Alex Pretty was killed, that's when Democrats in the House actually started caring. So all you need to do is not vote for it. Cause a shutdown. It's going to be really popular. Make it look like to the American people that you're actually fighting back, and possibly we'll have a chance at stopping that ICE fund. No, they just gave the Republicans a list of demands and said, if you do these, we won't touch a thing. What the hell are we doing, bro? If the Republicans don't ever give anything, and we are constantly giving up leverage, guess what happens to the country? We move to the right. But the Democrats gave out their list of demands of changes they wanted made to ICE, including no more face masks, they have to use body cameras, follow the same use of force rules as police, need to have search warrants, all things that are fairly reasonable. But things that we have seen time and time again, the Republicans just don't give a fuck about. They'll just lie. They'll just say, yeah, sure, we'll do that. And then they won't. And then guess what we do? We sit there and act surprised. Like, do you see the pattern? You can't make a deal with these people, okay? They're gonna cheat you. If a government shutdown happens, people usually blame the party in power more than the opposition. During the last shutdown, 45% of people thought Republicans were responsible for it, and 39% thought Democrats. And as I said, this is a popular issue. After a ton of our people are getting killed, people want to abolish this shit. This is on one of your most popular winning issues. You have all the leverage when it comes to negotiations, and polling shows that they're not gonna blame blame you if you even do cause a shutdown, but you still decide to make a deal with the people who are just gonna lie to you and cheat at the next available opportunity. Our party is fucking stupid. For a little bit, there was a partial government shutdown, not a full one, but it ended after Democrats made a deal with Trump. But don't worry, that's just the Senate, okay? The House can still pull through. We can still stop ICE from getting $10 billion more, guys. It's possible. We just need to come together and not vote on the goddamn bill. They voted for it again. 21 Democrats voted for it this time. 21! Their margins are getting better, not worse. You just gave up all of your pressure. Like, what are you doing? People want you to fight for them, and you're sitting there giving up your leverage. And you know what Democrats had to say to the people after they voted to do this shit twice? We have to be strategic. Yeah, guys, let's be strategic. Let's look like we're doing nothing, actually do nothing, refuse to use any of the leverage that we've positioned ourselves to have, and instead just give it up and make a deal with the devil who has lied to us before and who will lie to us again. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but this shit pisses me off. Because in this country, we have one party who just goes along with whatever the other party says, and another party who is hell-bent on destroying every part of our government possible, and a party who doesn't give a shit when their citizens get killed on the street. At some point, we have to actually start opposing this shit, instead of just talking about doing it, because the people that are in Congress right now are not taking any action to help you, and they're not doing anything to fight for people in need. Number 4, he launched a $12 billion critical minerals stockpile. He says this is to counter China, but I'm pretty sure it's just to boost the stock market. Last year, he announced this strategic Bitcoin reserve, and as a result, Bitcoin fucking skyrocketed directly afterward. And then they said later that the US actually wasn't going to be able to buy any more Bitcoin, and then it went back down in price again. Not suspicious at all, right? You announce a Bitcoin reserve, watch the price skyrocket, and then later say you actually won't be buying any Bitcoin for it. Definitely not an insider trading opportunity there. It's also not suspicious at all that someone made $10 million shorting right before Trump announced huge tariffs. Must have just gotten really lucky, I guess. Or the fact that confirmed Trump officials sold a ton of their stocks right before he announced those same tariffs. Are those guys being investigated? Are we gonna do anything about that? People are insider trading on Trump's Bitcoin announcements. Fossil fuel billionaires are insider trading right after talking directly with Trump. Somebody made 400 grand by betting on Maduro's capture right before it happened on Polymarket. Like, this shit is getting out of hand. We have dozens of people clearly insider trading on actions that they know are gonna happen from inside the Trump administration, and we're just doing nothing about it. So when you see announcements like this to make a critical mineral reserve or a Bitcoin reserve or a sovereign wealth fund or something, it's probably just so that a bunch of rich assholes within the Trump administration can short or buy a stock at the right time and make a shit ton of money very quickly. All of the people who complained about Nancy Pelosi for decades, who, by the way, I'm not a fan of either for doing that shit, are now insider trading themselves and tricking you into supporting them. Trump has made like $1.5 billion since he came back into office, and people are somehow still looking at Ilhan Omar's net worth. It just doesn't make sense to me, man. Number 5, he launched Trump RX with almost nothing on it. Okay. So this was a shit show. Trump has been trying really hard to launch this new Trump RX platform. It's a place where you can supposedly buy prescription drugs for much cheaper than they can be found in other places, which sounds great in theory, okay? If you can do that, more power to him. But he launched it the other day, and it has fucking nothing on it. It only has 43 drugs total at launch, and besides like weight loss drugs, these aren't crazy price cuts. Of the 43, over 30 of them are from one manufacturer, Pfizer, and 18 of those already have generic brand drugs available that do the exact same thing, which are much cheaper compared to Trump RX. Half the drugs on this website are more expensive than they already were. Think about that, okay? And the ones that aren't cheaper elsewhere literally just link to a page where you can get them from a different provider. These aren't deals that are available on Trump RX. It's just a website that links you to where you can buy the drug from the manufacturer. And most of those are deals that were completely separate from Trump's doing whatsoever. Trump didn't do shit there, okay? They were already gonna sell it for that price. Here's another example of the codes literally just being copied from a different website, and the prices being copy and paste from what you can get on GoodRx. But even if there were deals, okay? Even if these prices were much lower than you could get anywhere else, and somehow all the pharmaceutical companies just agreed to give up all the money they've stolen from us for absolutely no reason whatsoever, that's not even the biggest problem with this website. The biggest problem is that you can't use your insurance to buy any of these drugs. You have to pay out of pocket, which means you're paying all the money yourself, which might seem fine if you don't have insurance, but if you do, you know that insurance is expensive as shit. And if you're one of the 92% of people that are insured in the United States, you don't want to be buying a bunch of drugs in addition to what you're already paying on your insurance. That's stupid, okay? You're just paying extra money for something that you're already probably insured for and getting for a cheaper price than if you buy the drugs on Trump RX project stand alone. He's acting like he just like solved the pharmaceutical industry suddenly. Like this was some big problem that none of us could figure out. But now that an 80-year-old developer from New York City is in the Oval Office, he can just talk to the pharmaceutical companies and they'll give him a ton of money. That's not how the world works, lil bro. These guys have a stranglehold on our country and on our tax dollars. It's gonna take a lot more effort than that to fix this problem. Number 6, he finally deployed body cameras to ICE agents in Minneapolis. It's about damn time, bro. Kristi Noem says every Minneapolis ICE agent is now required to have a body cam on. I feel like that would have been useful before you guys murdered 2 people for no reason, but whatever. It's also only for ICE agents in Minneapolis, okay? They're still working on the other cities, apparently. So if anything happens in Memphis or some shit, I guess the guy's just fucked. He also withdrew 700 ICE agents from Minnesota, leaving thousands still there carrying out these deportations. This feels like more of a handout, if anything. He's realized that people actually care about preserving human life sometimes. So he's like, okay, we'll take out a few hundred and hopefully you guys will settle down. And if there's one thing I could use to prove it to you, it would be this. Because Trump is actively taking measures to stop prosecutors from investigating the death of Renee Good. As FBI agents got ready to investigate the blood spatters and bullet holes in the car that Renee Good was killed in, higher-ups told them to stop and just drop the investigation altogether. That's not suspicious at fucking all. They said the orders came from Kash Patel, and they said the reason that a warrant would contradict Trump's claim that Renee Good was some violent terrorist trying to run over that ICE agent. And so Kash Patel needed a distraction. So he instead urged the prosecutors to investigate Renee Good's partner. You know, the woman that was walking around the perimeter of the car telling Renee Good to get the fuck out of there. And my point with this is, like, if Trump actually cared about the people ICE was killing and was like, okay guys, we did go too far, we're gonna right our wrong, why would he be taking so many fucking steps to stop these investigators from finding out what actually happened to Renee Good and whether or not that ICE officer acted illegally? I think we know the reason why. Okay, it's because Trump and everyone else who has plain eyes and can watch that video without filtering it through Fox News tinted glasses can see that that ICE agent acted completely illegally. He had no reason to believe the car was running him over. He had no training that told him you needed to shoot the driver of the vehicle even if she was gonna run him over. And he had no reason to fire shots into the side of the vehicle as he was standing to the left of it. This is not hard to understand if you don't look to Jesse Waters for every bit of political insight you have. And don't try to tell me that the Republican base opposes this either, because they raised 800 grand for the guy that murdered her and donated it straight to him. Everything about this is cooked. And Trump definitely doesn't give a fuck about actually figuring out what happened that day. All right, now for the fast round. Trump held talks with Israeli generals to talk about Iran tensions. Tensions with the US and Iran right now are very fucking precarious. Remember last month, Trump sent an armada of ships and fighter jets to scare Iran and has talked numerous times about interfering in the protests that were going on before Iran killed thousands of the protesters. And Israel's actually been the country that is trying to get Trump not to bomb Iran, which is crazy because if Israel is telling you you shouldn't bomb somewhere, you probably shouldn't bomb somewhere. But either way, I think a distraction from the Epstein files is going to be coming at you soon in the form of ballistic missiles. He also made 50,000 federal workers eligible for layoffs. Many of these are career positions, okay? Not just people they hired yesterday. These are government employees who have been there for a long fucking time and probably cover very critical parts of the government. And now they're all up to be fired because he felt like it. Thank you for your excellent leadership, Mr. President. Trump also cut contact with the leader of Poland's parliament after he made tweets saying that Trump didn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. The statement this guy made was not crazy. It was literally just, I will not support the nomination of Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize as he doesn't deserve it, which last time I checked was a factual statement. But apparently Trump has now canceled him and just like blocked him on everything and won't talk to the guy anymore. So that's a W for American diplomacy, I guess. He also named 33 new immigration judges, many of which have military backgrounds. I'm sure you can guess who a bunch of guys like this will probably side with in an immigration case, but I'll leave that up for you to decide. Trump also refused to extend START deployment limits. Putin asked Trump to extend it, and Trump said no, which isn't concerning at all. Trump also threatened tariffs against any nation doing business with Iran, another form of pressure, signed an extension to an African trade program that expired last year, and finally announced plans to close the Kennedy Center for 2 years, saying that it was for construction, even though we all know damn well it was because ticket sales have absolutely plummeted and performers no longer want to perform there because, you know, it's called the Trump Kennedy Center. One of our presidents got assassinated and Trump decided, yeah, I'm gonna put my name right next to his and rename a building meant for him after me, which apparently isn't isn't that popular because nobody wants to go there anymore. Crazy how that works, right? All right, boys, now for our trackers. Inflation is once again at 2.7%, steady. It is still above target rate. 2% is a healthy amount. And the chair has stated in the past that the 0.7% above that is because of Trump's tariffs. So if it weren't for that, we'd be fine, but we still got price increases. Unemployment is at 4.4% steady. This stat is misleading as hell because a lot of people are technically counted as employed but aren't making nearly enough money to buy housing or get by. Egg prices are at 271, down mostly because the bird flu is gone. Gas prices are at 305, a little bit down. And Trump has so far spent $130,200,000 of taxpayer money playing golf in his term. That is more than twice as much as Obama spent during the same time period and more than twice as much as Biden spent during his entire presidency. Thank God my tax dollars are going to ICE murdering citizens in the street and Trump's golf course visits. All right, that is the end of another video, boys. This is a little bit more of a calmer week somehow. Yes, all of the things I just said were a calm week in the second Trump presidency. My voice didn't go away, which is good. Maybe my throat's healed enough to join all the other billionaires and deep throat Trump's cock some more. Once again, thank you to our patrons. Thank you to everyone who watches these videos. It means a shit ton to me. Anything I missed, any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Stay up to date, read the news. Don't trust these videos only. Verify with other sources. I am an 18-year-old college student. I make mistakes a lot of the time, but have a great week, and I'll see you boys later.